Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Super Feeler podcast. My name is Lori, and I am joined today by Kat and Heather, who are going to be part of our new continuing DBT series where we're going through the book DBT for Life by Diana Partington. So as I had kind of mentioned when we first started this series, the hope is to have additional voices come in and out of this series so that we can hear about how people all over the world experience these DBT skills. DBT stands for Dialectical Behaviour Therapy if you're new to the series, and is kind of the primary treatment for borderline personality disorder. Before we get started, just quick update here, a couple of announcements. Thank you so much to our new Patreon members, Michelle and Jordan. Super appreciate you both. Just a heads up on Patreon. First of all, some people don't know what Patreon is. It's a subscription service that you can support the show financially. You get a bunch of bonus content. Obviously, I understand that the world is very expensive right now, and supporting content creators is not people's priority because you got to eat. So no pressure regardless, but just wanted to let you guys know that that is an option that's available, and there's bonus episodes, journals that I've written over the days to kind of get you inside my head a little bit more, bonus resources. But there's also a lot of free content on Patreon too. So if you want to just sign up, I just have it so that you have to sign up with an account, even though it's free, so that I know if my family is creeping. That's literally the only reason I do that. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much to Michelle and Jordan for joining. Really appreciate it. And in terms of other announcements, I think that's about it. If you do sign up for Patreon, Apple has this new annoying thing where if you subscribe on iOS, like on an app, you've probably heard this from other podcasters that you listen to, there's an additional fee that gets charged, and it's like a pretty huge fee. It's like 30% or something. So it's best if you can do it through your browser. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but just keep that in mind when you're subscribing to anything using Apple apps. It's a weird extra fee. Okay. So, DBT for Life. Today we're going to talk about the please skill, which is chapter 12 of the DBT for Life book. If you haven't picked up a copy of this, I highly recommend, but even if you haven't, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter. It's great. Just support Diana. Diana's amazing. But we're just talking about the skills and using this book as a bit of a guide to help us talk about them. So with that, let me pass to Kat. Do you want to introduce yourself to this group as one of our new panelists, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm Kat. I'm over in Scotland, which is far away from HQ. I'm calling it that. Yeah, but I've been a fan for quite a while, and been coming to Super Feelers on and off when I managed to wake up at 3 a.m. Yeah, love all the stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat. And who's your dog that's with you?
This is Willow, and Gracie's also here.
Willow and Gracie, welcome. Welcome. It's nice to have you. Kat, I always appreciate you attempting to join Super Feelers at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I've been doing the Super Feelers Club for like 4 years. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I know there's people from all over the world, but the majority of people end up in North America. So it really sucks because like there's only so much I can do in terms of timing. So one day.
It's awesome. I tell everyone about how serious I am.
Totally. And you know what's funny is that there's another person who's going to be joining in future episodes of this series from Australia and has the exact same challenge, right? Like I think it's in the middle of her work day, maybe. So it's not 3 o'clock in the morning, but it's like just like a very awkward time. Anyways, it is what it is. I'm happy that you are so passionate and interested in trying to get up at 3 a.m. I don't know if I could do it.
It's a very special space.
All right. Heather, do you want to introduce yourself? Thank you.
Heather Luke, and I'm in the US, in Georgia, and I'm fairly new to learning DBT skills, and I've not been in a program. I'm seeing an individual DBT specialist, and probably since this past summer is when I started learning skills, and I've actually only recently learned what the please skill is, but I have been using it for a long time, apparently.
Totally. And that's what's kind of nice about some of these DBT skills is like you start to learn that like, oh, I already do this. That's amazing. I'm happy about that. That's a great point about like just starting DBT to learn DBT with your therapist. Kat, how long have you had DBT in your life?
A couple of years now, I think. Yeah, similar thing. Sort of like an online program and then an individual coach. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and then for context, if you're joining the series halfway through, my name's Lori. I'm the host of this podcast and the facilitator of the Super Feelers Club, which is a peer support program. So we have an online peer support group that meets, and it's like the best group ever, in my opinion, but I'm obviously very biased. And so I started learning DBT when I was 19 or 20, and I'm 31. So like over 10 years. So I have like a lot of these skills kind of in the back of my head now. Like I think it takes a long time to get them really like solidified, and not to say that I'm perfect at DBT skills, like that's far from the truth. But actually doing this series has been so helpful in that sense, because just being able to like hear how other people use the skills, refresh my memory on some of the skills that I don't remember, has really allowed me to like push new skills into my world. And I think the please skill is a good example of that, where like this one is kind of self-explanatory, but we still don't do it. And so to have the like reminder of like, this is actually important and this is how we should do this, is super, super helpful. So with that, I'm wondering, Kat, if you want to summarize the story. For those of you who are following along in the book, it is page 197.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I was impressed when it arrived. I was like, wow, this book is beautiful. So the story is about a 10-year-old who has pushed his grandma, and he's upset and he doesn't understand like really how it happened. And then so the story is about going through his day that happened. So he didn't get a lot of sleep, and he was up playing video games. Then he skipped food and came home, didn't do his homework. And then so his grandma interrupts him in his video game and starts shouting at him. And then he pushes her. And he's quite worried about what he did, and he's upset. But then they go through it and they work out what happened and how all of that made him vulnerable to being emotional. And then go through a solution plan of making sure that he eats enough and goes outside with his friends instead of playing video games, and spend some time with his grandma. And I liked it. It was sweet.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the summary, Kat. Yeah, it's a really like simple story, but one that really resonates, at least with me, because I struggled a lot with like anger issues. And so I highlighted a couple of lines that he said there that Daryl in the book says. I don't want to be a bad person, but it's so hard to do all of those things. And then I'm not a sociopath. I just need structure. And
I cried a little. I was like,
right.
So
I feel like we've all been
relatable.
there.
Am I a sociopath? Yeah. Like that's even at that young of an age to have such confusing feelings, like living with BPD and not knowing it, can really make you feel like you're just bad.
Exactly. I feel that way all the time.
Yeah,
like,
still
to this day. Like that is literally what all of my counseling sessions are about, is like, am I a bad person? And then
yes.
And I don't know the answer. Like I want to say like no, but I don't fundamentally believe that. So
there's that emotional
it's very hard.
So you can know something without feeling it.
Exactly.
Especially when it starts so small.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that I actually cry at therapy is when my therapist tells me that I'm not bad. Or that like I'm a good person. It's so weird. It's like the thing that you think would make you happy. But it's like so foreign.
It takes a long time for that to feel safe, though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when I'm assuming, I'm just going to make an assumption, many of us were not told that growing up.
Right. No, I was not.
Hand up to that.
And so, yeah. So like, you know, if somebody is saying that for the first time, not the first time, but you know what I mean? Like a person in like some sort of authority figure in your life that's like a supportive person is telling you that. It's
for me,
hard.
It's someone that knows me as well. It's like, oh, you know everything and you still think that, like, what? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Special.
Okay, but then my brain, so this is like totally not about the please skill, but that's okay. But then my brain goes, well, I'm paying this person. So are they just telling me this because I'm paying them? You see? It ain't helpful. I'm going to give a complex to everybody listening to this now.
To catch you up.
True.
So yeah, I always think if there was something they would pull me up
Yeah.
on, you know?
I guess so. Yeah. It's such an interesting one. Anyways, that's not about the please skill at all. So let's get into the please skill. Just a bit of an overview about the please skill. First of all, Marsha Linehan created Dialectical Behaviour Therapy. She, decades after creating this therapy, actually came out as having borderline personality disorder herself, which was her motivation to creating this therapy because there was nothing that worked for her. Super inspiring story. She loves acronyms, this woman, like loves them. And her acronyms like don't always make sense. Acronyms are great, but like she does weird shit with acronyms. It's hilarious. And so like the perfect example is PLEASE stands for physical illness, eat, avoid mood-altering substances, sleep, and exercise. Which is great, except where the frick is the L coming from? Other than it's the last letter of the word physical or the second and third letter of the word illness. Like, she's just...
I guess if you say illness, you can kind of get there.
I guess so. But that's not how acronyms work. It's so funny. I just like love her obsession with acronyms. And what's even better is I've been reading her memoir and she actually like kind of jokes about it in her book.
Oh, the memoir.
Which I was like, okay, well at least she's like, it's so good. I'm like, at least she's like aware of it. It's like it would be really cringe if she was like, I'm really good at making acronyms. And we're like, oh, girl, you're definitely not. Anyways, yeah, so I think that they're so funny. And I've been like, as I've gone through the book and like reminded myself of skills, I've put a bunch of like resources together and they're all free on Patreon, but I've like tried to, I don't know, make myself like handouts that are more tangible so I can like actually like check things off. And so I did one about please and just like the physical formatting of trying to make it like the acronym, but like the words are all messed up. I was like, I was like, this is so hard. Anyway, so they're not beautiful, but they're better than some.
I have a
okay. So does anybody
first?
Do you?
Yeah.
That's genius. Where did you get it from? Did you just make it yourself?
I made it. I just printed it out and laminated it myself.
So smart. See, you need that, right? As a reminder. So basically the skill like summary is that we're more vulnerable to negative emotions when we're not taking care of our like holistic self, which makes a lot of sense. And this in particular is like our physical self. So yeah, physical illness, get appropriate medical care for physical illness, treat yourself well when you're sick, physically compromised, take prescribed medication as necessary or as prescribed. Like that totally makes sense. I think it's easier said than done when we're like, oh, I'm sick, but I don't want to be a burden. Or like, oh, I'm sick, but I still have to go to work or take care of my kids or all of these things. I don't know if you guys have any issues with that one.
Chronic illness kicked me into being very mindful of my pacing. Yeah. But I did used to definitely be that. Like, just keep going. Yeah, never slow down. All of that.
Well, even like chronic illness, like how, right? Like treat your physical illness. You're like, cool. Well, there's no treatment for what I'm going through. So like, it's not even that simple either, right? Yeah. But it's a good point. Like you have to just learn to be better about, taking time off or whatever it is. Heather, you just went through like a huge
things.
Yes, true. Heather, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you just went through like a big hit to your physical illness that really like, we can take this out, but like kind of fucked with your head for a bit.
Oh no, it did. I'm a very extroverted person in general and just a people pleaser and all of that. And I was very isolated from being home, getting well from foot surgery and missing work and just not being a part of almost anything that I was usually a part of. And it really, a few times I tried to do more than I should have. And that really kicked me in the ass and reminded me of the please skill. And it's so serious for people living with our disorder that you really take care of yourself. Anyone can get cranky when they don't eat or sleep or take their medication, but I will like turn my life upside down. I don't want to be in my family anymore. I don't want to be married anymore. I don't want to go to my job anymore. If I get anywhere off track with taking care of myself.
Totally. Yeah. And the funny, well, not funny. I think like the exaggerating factor of your situation is you had this foot surgery. It put you out for what, 3 months almost?
Yes. About 3 months out of work, yeah.
Yeah, and your work is super physical.
Yep.
So not only is your physical, like your social self is being impacted, your pain, obviously, from the surgery, you can't do the things around the house that you want to do, but also like you're not getting the physical exercise that you get every day.
Yeah, like any.
I can't imagine.
It's a long time.
Yeah, super long. Yeah. So how do you feel like, other than that was obviously like a kind of emergent situation that was like a little bit more extreme, but do you feel like you're good with taking the time for yourself when you need it for physical illness?
For physical illness, no. I will try to still go to work or not let my boss down if I am sick. If I am having mental illness, I am very quick to not leave the house and just kind of isolate and not go to work and just know that I have to like really get my head straight. But with physical illness, I'm kind of bad at just still doing what I got to do. And I have kids, so you kind of just have to keep trucking.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Kat, you don't have kids, right?
No, just dogs.
No. That would
rats. And
yeah, even that.
Rabbits. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Right. You still have to take your dogs out, like, you know, all of that stuff. Just it never ends. One thing that I think is a big one for a lot of people on this physical illness side of things is take your medication as prescribed. How are you both on that front?
I forget a lot. I literally have like little, there's these popped things. It's like a little pill holder from Australia. It's amazing. And I have them in all of my bags. All of them have a stash because I constantly leave the house without it. And then like, yeah. So I'm kind of...
What are they called? Pocked?
Yeah, POKT. It's like a really nice tactile little box. But yeah.
I'll have to check that out because I'm really bad at that too. And I've learned that I can only remember to take meds if it's at night. For some reason, there's something about taking meds any other time of day that I just won't do it. Or I'll forget, and then I'll be like, oh shit, did I take it or did I not take it? But there's something about the evening where I'm like getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth, taking my meds. And because I take a sleep med, that to me is my priority. So I can take all my other meds with my sleep med.
Yeah, so I have to take stuff
because I'm like, fuck the antidepressant. I need the sleep. Exactly.
So like, but I tag the morning and evening one with when I feed the dogs, and that helps. Because they get their sweeties out of the same drawer, so they will sit there until I remember to do it.
Right. That's smart to put it in the same drawer, actually. Yeah, that's genius. Yeah, I got a heart med, like a new heart. I have a heart condition for those of you who are new to this. I got diagnosed in last January, and I got a new heart med while I'm waiting for my procedure to fix it. And I have to take it morning and night, and I cannot remember to take it in the morning. Like, I just don't do it. And then I lost the bottle like 4 days ago, and I have no fucking clue where it is. And that seems to be my biggest problem, is I lose the bottles of meds all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'll remember it, but I can't find the stupid thing itself, which is really annoying.
I also forget to get the next set of meds as well. And I'm quite often quite close to the wire in that.
Yeah, totally. Heather, how about you?
Well, for me, meds have been kind of a back and forth thing. I'll be really great at taking them and have such a routine. And then something changes about my daily routine, and I just forget everything else. And I recently had, my husband and I, like just this week, actually made a cope ahead plan to use the please skill because it always ends up the same way. We realized I had like a total meltdown last week, like went to a 10 out of my window and like was ready to just leave and move to Texas and just like all kinds of unreasonable stuff. And we realized by like the 4th day, I hadn't taken my meds in 5 days. And for me, that was not, I was in all these horrible moods and I never once was like, oh, I didn't take my meds. But my husband, after enough days, was like, have you been taking your medication? Gently, because that can be offensive, even though that is what was going on. I would still be like, how dare you? But yes, totally. I've not taken.
It's like, meds. Are you PMSing? Yeah,
same right. Way. I'm like, not taking my meds, but that was very rude. But so he and I have created a plan now where I have an alarm set to take my meds every day, I still forget. I'll turn the alarm off if I'm doing something and be like, in a
I
minute.
also have
So
that.
he has an alarm set for 2 hours.
Me too.
And then you forget still too somehow. But he also now has an alarm 2 hours after mine to double check that I took my meds. And it's only been like 4 days so far, but it's working for these 4 days.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that idea of like having to double check, because I'm the same. I have an alarm on my phone that I just like, I'm like, yeah, for sure, I got it. And I'll never take it. There's a thing, and I don't know if it's in Scotland or the States or anywhere else, but I've never used it in Canada, but there's a thing called, I think it's called Spencer. I can try and link it in the chat or in the show notes. I think it's like free from the government if you have more than 3 different meds or something like that, or 4 different meds. And it's for like seniors who like have issues remembering to take their meds, but it's like a little like robot that will like pop your meds out for you, and like so that you know that you've taken them and you can't forget. And I have thought about, like I've thought about like, oh, maybe I should try and sign up for one of those, because I just not taking them. I'm usually okay, but these morning ones, I just can't do it. Anyways, there's a lot of tools out there, but it's hard. You have to find the one that works for you, which is
it's
the
that
difficult part,
mid-morning
right?
moment where you're like, did I don't know. Is it better
That
to not take enough or to take too much? I don't know.
100%. Yeah. Are either of you guys on venlafaxine? I think it's Effexor. No, apparently it's like really, really crazy for withdrawals, even if it's like been like you just miss one dose. And the other day I could not remember if I took it at all, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to find out once these withdrawal symptoms hit, and they never did. So I'm assuming I took it, but it's one of those things where you're like,
actually, that's
I don't want to overtake
one of my pain ones is you kind of notice after kind of an hour you haven't, so that's handy.
Yeah, that is kind of nice in a way. As long as you have them, right? Otherwise, you're just
as long
like,
as I have them with me, yeah, exactly. If I'm out without the bag, then but that hasn't happened in a while, so.
Totally. I know. I need to keep. I think that little pocket thing that you were talking about would be good to keep in like every purse, in my car, in every drawer. Anyways, okay. So that's physical illness. Anything that we didn't talk about in terms of the physical illness bit? No. Okay. So the next one is eating. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I have the Visible app for like chronic illness, which is I think it was a UK thing originally. It came from like Cambridge. And it's like a heart rate monitor thing that you wear, and then it has an app. So it's like a Fitbit or like an Apple Watch, but for chronic illness. So it tracks like how much, like, so it basically if your heart rate's higher, so like if you're anxious or if your breathing's iffy, then you use up like pace points quicker, and then it'll tell you like how many pace points you've used, and you just set it so that you do the amount of stuff that you can handle doing the same amount of stuff the next day.
Interesting. And is it a watch?
So it's an app, and it's like an armband.
Cool. I've never heard of that. I've never seen that here.
Yeah. So then it like optimizes for you personally, and it's quite interactive. It's quite cool. I think it came out for
honestly,
but it's a big thing now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I do find that having an Apple Watch is very helpful for all of my please stuff. Mostly sleep, exercise, and sometimes physical illness, just to like remind myself that like, oh yeah, your body is reacting to certain things, and like you should probably slow down. Okay, so eating. This is one that is always triggering for people because a lot of us have had challenges with food in the past in some way or another. But, it says eat a balanced diet, practice good nutrition. If you struggle with eating disorder, a qualified dietitian might be helpful. I don't know if I've had good luck with dietitians, to be perfectly honest. I've tried a couple times, and I just feel like it's just, maybe I'm just resistant to what they want to tell me, which is very possible. But I mean, I think it's hard to deny that eating healthy makes you feel better overall, makes your mental health better.
Yeah.
The issue is once you get into a slump, you're like, I just want comfort food. And to me, comfort food is McDonald's and Dairy Queen and pizza and pasta. And I can't get out of that slump for a long period of time. Heather, you nodded. Same situation?
Yeah, especially with pizza. But it's I have struggled with eating disorders since middle school probably, and I'm either only eating or I'm not eating. So that's something I've always struggled with, just maintaining a nutritious diet. I know what that entails. I just don't do it. I'll do it for my kids, but that's just one of the ways I don't take care of myself the best I could.
For sure. And there's also something to be said for just eating a balanced diet is also a privilege. Eating a nutritious diet is also honestly, a privilege.
Especially lately.
So, exactly, right? Food cost is just going to continue to grow. Heather and I are, as of Tuesday, our countries are tariffing each other like crazy, so we're going to be screwed for cost of everything.
Yeah.
And it's going to be horrifying to see how much food prices go up. But the fact that nutritious food isn't subsidized in the way that it should be, and we're all, I don't know. I fucking love McDonald's, guys. I worked there for 7 years or something, and people are like, oh, once you work there, you learn to hate it. And I'm like, no, it's addictive. I am addicted to fast food.
Learn to hate it.
Yeah.
I got diagnosed with celiac for that, but a kibosh on most of it.
That helps. I mean, helps and hinders, obviously, but helps for the, you don't really have a choice in where you can't just, go eat anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but do you do it anyways? That's an interesting question. Do you eat gluten even if you know it's going to hurt you?
Because, yeah, it is a big effect. And also, it can take, it can take 2 years for your body to recover.
Wow.
It massively damages your intestines and stuff. So you try that, yeah. But it makes me ill.
So what does the balanced diet thing feel like for you then, Kat? Is it something that you do anyway?
No. I also was don't eat or don't stop. But this was actually the first thing that I did with my coach was please and was on food. And it was just eat breakfast. And I set up so I had affirmations that were, I deserve a good diet and stuff like that. And it was porridge, and I was just very Scottish, just have porridge in the morning. And I was like, right, I'm going to set it up the night before and say the affirmations while I'm preparing the porridge. And it was the second night I was doing it, and I just said all the affirmations, and then just without thinking, just kind of said, I am worthy of my time. And then I sobbed for an hour. And then it was it kind of, yeah. And then I stuck to it for long enough that I, just always had breakfast. And then gradually kind of started just being oh, I actually have things for lunch in the house. And it was I kind of snuck up on my brain. And then now I get something called Planthood, which is vegan and obviously gluten-free as well. And they send you amazing sauces. It comes from London. And then fresh vegetables, and then you make you make the recipe. And that seems to be working pretty well at the moment.
Is that HelloFresh? Do you guys have HelloFresh?
Yes.
In Scotland?
Yeah. Yeah, we
similar
have
idea
as well, but it's similar idea. But so HelloFresh you have to make the sauces yourself. So HelloFresh will take about an hour. Planthood will take about half an hour. So it's kind of hitting that gap in the market between a frozen ready meal and a recipe box.
Right. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because I use HelloFresh, and I was at first really resistant to it because I don't really do all the cooking. Aaron does because he's the best cook ever and he loves cooking. So I was I don't know, I feel would you use HelloFresh if you're a good cook? I feel probably not. It has been a life-changing experience. Yeah. We started it during COVID because I accidentally put my credit card information in. And then I ended up buying, I was I think I just accidentally subscribed. Yeah. And then I was oh shit. Whoops. Okay, well I guess we're getting HelloFresh this week. I'm sure we're going to hate it. I'll just cancel it.
You can skip it, but you can't cancel it.
No, I know. Truly. So then we ended up using it, and I was like, wait, this is actually great. And for me, it's I swear to God, it's cheaper than buying groceries because you don't throw as much stuff out. Keep in mind, we don't have kids. It's just the two of us. Yeah, that too. And it has vegetables in it. Like it's like mostly balanced. Like if you were to talk to a dietitian, they'd probably say like, oh, it's too much carbs or whatever. But like, you know what I mean? If I made a pasta, I'm just eating like the noodles, the cheesy sauce, and cheese on top. Whereas this is like the noodles of, you know, spinach in it, chicken on top, whatever it is. And I find that I eat a much more balanced diet because it's kind of forcing you to eat vegetables. And then once I eat, like, I swear, guys, when I eat like one vegetable or like a fruit, and I have been eating like shit for like weeks, one fruit makes my mood better.
Same.
And I'm like, I need to do more. This is so easy. I know, but then you don't. Like, why don't you? It's so annoying. So anyways, it's so weird. It's like we're self-sabotaging ourselves constantly. But I truly find that HelloFresh has been very helpful for the balanced diet piece for me because I don't fall into my traps of like, let's just order takeout. Or
and
like,
then you don't go
let's just eat pasta. I could eat that too. Yeah, because I basically don't. I don't really grocery shop much because we can usually get like, you know, lunch and dinner out of the HelloFresh. So basically all I need is like milk for like tea and like something for breakfast, which is that's where I flounder a little bit. But once I have a routine for breakfast, then it's usually okay. It's like, I don't know, I find that to be really helpful. But
it doesn't even make sense either because I love healthy food. Like I love vegetables and fruits, but they don't give me dopamine.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they instantly.
Yes, they do long
because they do. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And once you're eating like a delicious vegetable,
all the other stuff.
Right? I was eating cauliflower before this and I was like, God, this is so delicious. Like I had like pomegranate molasses on it. It was so good. And I was like, why is it that if I see a McDonald's though, I U-turn? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's because it's like designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish they made like carrots addictive or something. You know what I mean? Like something like that I could eat and be like, feel really good about myself every time I eat it. The other thing about like not just the balanced diet thing, but is just like eating on a regular schedule.
Yeah.
Because like everybody gets hangry, but like I get hangry. And once I haven't eaten enough, then I'm like, I don't want to eat. I'm not even hungry. And then it becomes like this like vicious cycle of like you get worse and worse and worse. Like Aaron has literally like turned around on a road trip when he's like noticed I'm hungry, like done a U-turn to pull into the nearest fast food place to get me something to eat because he's like, if this doesn't like if I say I'm hungry, he's got like 10 minutes to get me something to eat or else like it's done for the day. And so sometimes I find having like a lot of snacks throughout the day is helpful because I'm just like I never get hangry at that point. Yeah. All right. Avoid mood-altering substances. Marijuana and alcohol are depressants that can contribute to depression. All narcotics and even caffeine have a profound effect on our moods. Fair.
True.
Fucking love caffeine though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Drinking some right now.
Love me caffeine. Same here.
Same.
I didn't, when I got diagnosed with this heart condition last year, they said cold turkey, no caffeine. And I was in the hospital. And so luckily because I was in the hospital, it was like easier to do because like I was there for a week, right? So it was like everything was kind of like messed up anyways. And I stuck with it for like 6 months and I felt amazing without caffeine. And then I had like one because I was like, oh, I'm like really tired today. I'm just gonna have like one. And then I was like, oh, well, like I'm really tired again today, so I'm gonna have like 3. And then now I'm like, how much caffeine can I possibly drink? And it's crazy how addictive that shit is. But I fucking love it. I really do.
Yeah, no, I did the same actually when I first my kind of breathing first started going hinky. And I was off caffeine for about the same time and then creeps back. So you have one and you're like, that was fine.
It does.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Then you're
And then
addicted.
it does mess with your sleep. Yeah, like, because I think that's the issue, right? Is once you can go cold turkey and like get past the headaches and stuff, then your body is like functioning fine without it because it's not impacting your sleep. But then once you have one, then and then the next day you're tired again. So then you have another one, and then it just like, that's my theory. I don't know if it's true. What other mood altering substances are impacting our lives or not?
So this has probably been the most important part of the police skill for me, getting sober from alcohol. I'm 278 days sober today, so that's awesome. I know.
Congratulations.
And I actually had one of the hardest days last week that I had. You probably saw it on Facebook, Lori, where I almost drank, and I've like convinced myself that would make me feel better but thankfully, knowing the police skill and just taking steps, like I have notes in my phone of all the reasons I don't want to drink or things I did while I used to drink that just are horrible to me. And I'll just read over those when it gets really bad and stuff like that. But it's very confusing at first, because if you drink often to suppress your feelings, when you stop drinking, you have to deal with them.
Oh yeah.
So when I first quit drinking, it was like, this isn't working. I feel worse. I don't like anything. But the longer I've gone without it, like my day-to-day life is getting so much easier, and I can sleep better. My just mood is better. I have a lot more breakdowns, but it's like but I can cope. Like I'm working through stuff I've never worked through, but I'm able to do it. So that has just significantly changed my life, being able to realize that is something I need to steer away from, and that it's just not, I mean, it's poison to everyone, but I realized that I just could not manage.
Totally. And was there like a precipitating moment that like you realized that?
Yeah. So
you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
No, I mean, it's okay. I'm very open about this kind of stuff. I actually had like an insane mental breakdown and like threw a frying pan through the glass door of my kitchen and got in a huge crazy fight with my husband, and like that's when I got diagnosed with BPD, and also when I quit drinking. Like those things happened simultaneously. I decided to get sober after that night, and then we realized it wasn't just the alcohol, but that was exacerbating something. So I instantly got back in therapy. I had seen many therapists, or a handful of therapists before, but we would be like, oh, you have ADHD or you have anxiety and depression. But I'm 37 and I just got diagnosed with BPD last year. So I just got to that breaking point where it was like, I can't do this anymore. And it became just like a responsibility for my family. I knew that it was affecting not just me. So that made it easier for me to stop.
Yeah, that's, I think alcohol would be the hardest substance to stop using when you're using it for coping like that, because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Ads on TV for it.
Everywhere.
Rough.
I realized that I really was just used it to suppress my symptoms, which actually exacerbated them later. But, in the moment I would just be like, I'm stressed out, I need a drink, or I don't want to feel this, I need a drink. You just keep doing it more and more until it just becomes like your identity. For me, COVID made it a lot worse. I feel like I became like an actual alcoholic then. Like I always drank like blackout drunk, but not just drink all the time. Then I started drinking all the time, not necessarily getting blackout drunk, but just drinking at home and stuff. And it just, over time, it just became a problem before even realizing it, until it was a major problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Kat, you just said like the peer pressure of it too is so much. And I'm really thankful. Like I've never had a substance use, like quote unquote issue. Like food addiction, yes. Caffeine addiction, yes. But men addiction, yes. But never substances in the traditional sense. And so I'm really thankful for that. But even I just kind of don't like drinking anymore. Like I've kind of just been like, yeah, why am I putting poison in my body? Like it doesn't even taste that good. And even the peer pressure in that sense, where I could have a drink, but I go to people's houses who work in like substance use fields and they're like, come on, just have one.
Mm.
And I'm like, no, I'm good. And they're like, come on, like I already poured you a glass. No, I'm okay, thanks. And it's taken like years for me to kind of be able to be like, hey, I'm not going to drink that. And like, so I can't imagine like the having that addiction layer and then somebody like shoving it down your throat, essentially. Like you have to try so much harder to keep that like boundary. And I just don't know how to like it. I am so like in awe of everybody that does that because it would be so difficult.
I think I would have been able to stop a lot sooner had I got a diagnosis a lot sooner, because that made me start taking that kind of stuff a lot more seriously and understanding the mental aspect, where I never really attributed that to like how I was acting afterwards.
Yeah. That is such a common experience, Heather. I wish
Unfortunately.
it wasn't. Such a common experience, yeah. Kat, how about yourself? Or have substances played a role in your life?
Yeah, there's definitely been a role for alcohol in uni got rough for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was quite a long time ago now. About 10 years. I think I probably drunk like 3 times.
Okay.
And about 2 of those times was really bad, so that's why I'm not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's that, like you say, it's you and you against you and them when people are trying to encourage you. Yeah, it's hard.
In Vancouver, like British Columbia, in specifically, I think that there's a big movement to like sober curious worlds, and so like there's entire liquor stores now that are all non-alcoholic, which is super cool.
Mocktails going
which
on
also
these days.
Yeah, lots of mocktails, lots of alternatives. Yeah, like literally liquor stores that are non-alcoholic liquor stores, which I find very funny that they're called liquor stores. To me, find a different name. But anyways, but like I really, yes, yeah, exactly. So I'm curious, like in Georgia and Scotland, is that happening too? Like you said, you're seeing more mocktails. Kat, how about you, Heather? How about you, Heather?
I've definitely seen it becoming more common, and that most places that I've recently started going out with my friends sometimes if it's like an important event for someone or something, because almost all going out is to bars or where there's alcohol. Even when we went to Dave & Buster's for my son's birthday, it was like everyone's drinking at the arcade. There's nowhere to be without being around people drinking. The mocktails and such, the sober curious. Yeah. I have seen that popping up more around here, but also at the same time, liquor laws have gotten more loose too. So about 60 days after I got sober, a liquor store opened up about a quarter of a mile from my house. It was like the ultimate soul test. And I have not, I don't go there, but it's like in my face.
It's interesting, actually.
Yeah, you have to drive by it every day.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of alternatives and stuff, but also Scotland's put a lot of taxes on alcohol, and especially like alcopops, because we have like a sugar tax as well. So then a lot of younger people are going towards drugs instead of alcohol, which is not great. So it's interesting how there's always going to be something if you don't have that emotional kind of help that you need.
Well, ironically though, there's a lot of drugs that I feel like are safer than alcohol. Like in the I'm not saying like everybody should go do meth or anything like that.
No.
But like in terms of of like
emotional acceptableness,
like, alcohol can kill you.
Not necessarily follow.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. What we really need is preventative treatment where we can all learn skills so we don't have to suppress our emotions with substances.
Exactly.
But
DBT Skills.
That's a pipe dream at the moment. Yes, exactly. Literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk sleep. So this one to me is, I mean, they're all important. This and exercise are probably the most important for me. when I had a really bad mental health crisis in like August, September of 2024, it was sleep related, almost exclusively. And if I can't get like 9 hours of sleep, 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep, I'm fucked. And I realize that like 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep is a lot of sleep. Sometimes I need like 12 hours of sleep, but I just know that like that's what my body needs. And so I have like a sleep tracker on my watch. I like monitor my sleep tracker a lot. And if I see that my sleep is getting like off kilter, then I know that I have to do something about it. And like what's interesting is when I look back at my sleep tracking from that time, like June and July, so like my crisis was August, September. If I look at my sleep tracking in June and July, there's like a noticeable decrease in how much sleep I was getting. And it's fascinating. I'll try and post the image of it. And it's like, this affects me so much. And like, thank God for drugs like Seroquel, because that allows me to get that much sleep and allows me to fall asleep. But yeah, that, and I was diagnosed with sleep apnea during COVID, and I have a CPAP now, and that makes a world of difference too. So if anybody is out there and feels tired all the time, please go get tested for sleep apnea. It's usually free to get tested, and it's worth every minute of the testing. It's very easy. How about Kat? What's sleep mean to you?
Yeah, challenging. Yeah, so because of like a lot of the triggers that I have, basically, so like going to sleep has always been an issue, and I've worked on it in a lot of different ways. And similarly, the last kind of massive wobble that I had was sleep related, in that as soon as I don't sleep the next night, and then at the triggering level of tired earlier, and then so that just spirals quite quickly. And yeah, I ended up having sleep meds for a while, and then now I have metrazapine, which also high histamine axis sends me right to sleep.
Metrazapine, I've never heard of that.
It's a, I should look that up.
Oh, it's an atypical antidepressant.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Remeron.
an SSNI.
I've never heard of this.
For norepinephrine.
Okay.
Instead of
norepinephrine.
Yeah.
Serotonin. Yeah. I think that might be the same as trazodone. Is I think also a norepinephrine.
There's a few of them.
And that's the one that actually that messed up my sleep brutally. I had a weird counter side effect to it where it made me manic instead of sleepy.
Yeah, no.
It was very weird. But I know a lot of people that have taken it. I've seen dogs take it too, and it's been like life-changing for dogs.
It took
sometimes
a while
drugs are needed.
Even out, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It took a couple of months, but
and you're like an 8-9 hours kind of person too.
Yeah, at least. I nap too. It depends on everything that I'm doing and whether I'm flaring and stuff. So, but yeah, I do definitely, if I'm flaring, to make sure that I listen to it and actually rest extra when I need to.
Mm-hmm. That's the hard part for me. Is I like love naps. Like I could nap every single day, but if I nap, right, but it messes up my sleep in the evening. So like it becomes this like really bad cycle of like, then I'm tired the next day, so then I have a nap, and then again, like kind of like the caffeine thing. It like
like supposedly like an hour to an hour and a half is a sweet spot for a nap, because if you do longer than that, you go into deep sleep and then you wake up groggy and it messes with everything else. And if it's shorter, then you don't really get the benefit of it. So yeah, I try to be strict-ish with that. But then sometimes I just need to sleep.
See, the problem with that is like sometimes I sleep for like 4 hours. Yeah, exactly. Like yeah. That's good to know though.
Yeah, I'll have days when I just sleep, but that's chronic illness, man.
Mm-hmm. Totally. How about you, Heather?
Sleep is one of the things that I really struggle with, like eating, as far as I will do really well and know I need to keep up with it and pay attention, and then I'll fall off. And like, if it's the only time I can get alone time after work and school and like bedtime routine, I'll tend to stay up late just to have some alone time, because someone is always home when I'm home, it feels like. So it's like, it's hard to prioritize which of those things are the most important sometimes, because the alone time does a lot for my mental health too. But this is inspiring me to start using a sleep tracker. I've never done that. I've never taken sleep meds, and my sleep is shit. So I need to take steps in this direction, I think.
Yeah, I actually.
Yeah, I'll truly, I'm going to send you that picture of the graph, because it is like noticeable, and it's really helpful to have that information. I'll try and see if I can find it right now.
Okay.
How much sleep do you get usually, do you think?
I mean, probably like 6 or 7 hours average, when I need like 8 or 9. Because I have to get up at 6 a.m. and typically everyone else isn't asleep until like 9 or 10. So I'll stay up for an hour or two by myself.
Can you believe that there's people that get away with like 3 hours of sleep a night?
And they're fine. My boss is like that. She has so much more energy than me.
Not sleeping. Like the research is it like affects you worse, and like but like when you're drinking,
driving and stuff,
it makes it better. So you're like, no, I'm fine, but actually, like, your judgment on whether you're fine is way off.
That makes sense. Okay, look at this. So you can't. I mean, I'll post an actual screenshot, but like these are my overall like sleep scores. So it's like that includes like rhythm and whatever. That's June and July.
Yeah.
So like you can see, I'm like good, not good. This is overall time asleep. Look at June.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else. And then this is my sleep rhythm. So this is like how often, like, you know, if you go to bed at like the same time every day, get up at the same time every day, like it's just insane that you can like see. And you know, had I looked at this better, I could have been like, oh wow, I feel like this means that something is really wrong. And I didn't do that. And I wish I did. Because I maybe could have prevented a lot of stuff that happened. But yeah, honestly, Heather, like a sleep tracker is, I find it really helpful. This is called Sleepwatch. It's on Apple Watch. It's but I assume you can use it on other stuff. It's there's like a free version. I've been using it for probably like 4 years. I ended up paying the subscription for it. It's like $70 a year or something, because I just got extra like info, but you don't have to by any stretch. I just like, because I realized how valuable sleep tracking was in my life, I was like, I think this is an investment I'm going to make, but it's not necessary. That's for sure. I used it for free for many, many years.
Yeah, I think last time I was struggling about 5 or 6 hours a night. And yeah, that was definitely what got it back on track, was sorting out the sleep.
Totally. Yeah, it's amazing how much sleep impacts us. Okay, let's talk exercise. This is the last of the very, very well thought out acronym of the PLEASE skill. I find this to be incredibly helpful for me too. If I am like feeling like moody, sad, angry, whatever, if I can make myself go for a 10-minute walk, not even like a 5-minute walk, I'm so much better. But the issue is the motivation to get to the 5-minute walk. Because you're like, fuck this, I don't want to do anything, everything sucks, blah, 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 blah. And so that's really the hard part. But once I'm there, God, I feel so much better.
I feel like I need to replace my going driving when I'm really upset with taking a walk around the block, because that would probably really make a big difference. Because just getting outside in the sun in the car with music and stuff just changes it. But actually moving my body would probably be a lot more helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I like is like, it doesn't have to be like, I used to run a lot and then I injured myself. Like this was many years ago. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like, I mean, I think technically the acronym says like intense exercise. It doesn't have to be intense exercise. Like any movement is helpful. So you can literally, one walk around the block is like a game changer.
One person's intense is another person's quiet as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Truth. Yeah.
I find that keeping a job that is somewhat active throughout the day has really made a difference too, than if I'm just, because it's less likely I'm going to choose to do the exercise at home, to be real. It's just less likely. And I might do it sometimes. I'll get in a routine and fall out like everything else. But if it's consistent in my work day, it really just helps me feel better at the end of the day. I have more energy too after exercising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I see, because I have a desk job, I work from home, so I can go all day with like 800 steps if I don't like intentionally try and go for a walk, right? Because I'm like, walking to the bathroom, walking to the kitchen, walking to the bathroom, walking to the kitchen, and sitting all day. And then podcasting, editing, like everything I do is sitting at a desk. And I don't see them here anymore, but I used to look out my window and just be like so jealous of the post office people were walking all day. Like I just was like, oh my God, to have a job where I could just walk all day would be so amazing. And I used to work retail, and I remember just like, it doesn't feel like exercise, but you're definitely exercising. And so like Heather, you did delivery driving stuff, right? You went from that to like working, cleaning all day on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like your mood shifted a lot?
Yeah, I enjoyed being at work more. I still don't
Mhm.
enjoy it, don't get me wrong. Don't love
Yeah.
work, but I just feel better while I'm there. It's like the constant movement is just keeping me running. And it kind of keeps me distracted from my emotions too, almost. Or they're just, I don't know if distracted. Maybe it actually is making me feel better, but I can notice a big difference for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I had an interesting conversation with my counselor the other day. So I really like this yoga class that I go to called Deep Stretch, and it's called Candlelight Deep Stretch and Relaxation.
Nice.
So I'm like pretending that I'm exercising. Yeah, right. But really I'm just laying on a mat, like to the point where people literally have fallen asleep in the middle of this yoga class. It's like that, like chill. And I go a lot. And I remember my counselor, I was telling her about it, and she's like, wow, yeah, that must be really hard to stay mindful because you're not moving hard. Right. So you're like in one position for a long period of time. And I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And then I'm trying really hard to like branch out and take other classes because it makes me really anxious to take like fitness classes. And I'm trying really hard. And I'm like, when I'm in those classes where they're higher intensity, I don't think about shit because I'm literally like, can I keep breathing or not? Like, am I going to make it to the end of this class or not? And it's such a good feeling to just be moving so hard that you can't think about anything else. It's a foreign concept to me, but I'm trying really hard. Kat, how about yourself?
Yeah. Again, like with the chronic illness, like it's been a massive adjustment because like I used to run a lot. Like I used to hill run, or I'd get up at like 4 a.m. and do like a 20-mile run before I came home to make breakfast for us. And
What? Mile?
Yeah.
I can't even do that math because I'm Canadian, but how many kilometers is that? Like a half or a full marathon, like 45 kilometers or something.
Kilometers, probably. So it's not a marathon.
Anyways.
It's a marathon because marathon is 26 miles, I think. So.
40. Oh, okay. Still, that's a lot of distance. That's insane. Okay.
But no, so yeah, so I try and do something every day, and obviously I have to with the dogs. But I'm kind of in the middle of trying to, so I can't do anything intense because my body just shuts down anymore, which is very frustrating. So I will walk. I sometimes hill walk very slowly, and it makes me very happy. But yeah, so I'll just. But as long as I do something every day, and it's that kind of balance with it being something that's enough that my brain goes, yeah, cool, that was the thing that we did. Because I'm not quite at that level where I'm like, I can go for like a 5-minute walk and feel kind of refreshed mentally by it. But actually, yeah, just the movement is really helpful. And if I don't, I really notice the difference. But yeah, and I remember when I was first really ill and I was in kind of literally in bed for like 4 months, and you lose like 20% of your muscle mass for every day you're not in, but you're like not moving. So like when you come out of that, you're just really starting from nothing. And now that is really motivating when I'm like, if I've had a couple of days when I have been flaring and really struggling, I'm like, right, I really need to get out, and like, because I don't want to go back to starting from nothing again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is kind of wild that like there is less intentional exercise in like mental and physical health treatment, like hospitalization. Like
I was
that you're just kind of there.
She lived in Germany for a long time, and she was saying there, if you have like a chronic illness, that they send you like on like for like a 3-month like retreat where you get massaged and looked after, and you're in the country and you go walking and you like
that sounds awesome.
Just recover. And it's like, wow,
yeah,
that would be good for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That sounds beautiful.
I think Switzerland does something like that too, if I remember correctly. And like even Shannon, who's going to join this series another day, on her episode of the podcast, she was talking about how when she was in mental health treatment, they had a pool and like all of this stuff. And I was like, that is not a thing here. Like, I'm sure in the States, if you paid like 50 grand a month,
private
maybe,
hospitals,
like then you could, yeah. But that was a public hospital. I'm pretty sure she was talking about. I was like, holy crap, that's insane. Like, but it makes so much sense. Like, you know,
it's very Victorian.
If we could all do that,
the retreat house by the sea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I need. The other thing I want to just like mention about exercise, because I think that and food eating they're tied in a lot of ways, is a lot of us have had unhealthy relatiaships with exercise.
Yes. I think you can
just
have
like
unhealthy relationships with
food.
Any of the please things.
True. That's a good point. True. I guess that is very interesting. Yeah. I guess for me, the exercise one is so prominent because I have to be very mindful that I'm exercising to feel good.
Yeah, because kind of like alcohol, it's very socially acceptable to exercise in a kind of push through.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm there to feel good. I'm not there to look different. And I have to say that to myself all the time. And even because I've been trying really hard in this last like couple weeks to like try new workout classes, like I was saying, I've been going to a lot of them because when I finish this workout class, I finish the new workout class, then the one right after the new workout classes is always the deep stretch one that I love. So some nights I'm doing 3 hours of exercise in a row. And it got to a point last week where I was like, am I over exercising now? Right? Like, have I accidentally turned this into something where it's like pathological? And I don't think I'm there just yet, but it is something that I'm constantly reminding myself that I can move, that I have to be moving to feel better, not look different.
I love that.
Because I think it's so hard to do that in our world, especially as women.
You can almost self-harm with it. Like you can just push yourself to the edge and punish yourself. Yeah.
Totally, you can. Yeah, and I think that's where I like learned when I used to run a lot. I used to run through injuries to the point where now I have bone spurs in my foot where like I can't run. And I'm like, God, you're such an idiot. Like, why? You know what I mean? Why did you do that? Well, because, you know, I had a boyfriend at the time who told me that if I exercised, my butt would look better. And so I exercised every single day constantly to make him like me more. And not to mention like all the people who told me they wouldn't date me because I was too fat or whatever. Like all of these things, like that is not the point. And
like you say, as soon as you step into like exercise space, there's that encouragement to do that. And everyone's like, oh, what's your goal? And all that kind of thing.
Yeah. And my goal now is feel good and like hopefully be a little bit stronger. Again, not to like be like, oh, look at me, but just stronger in that like I don't have to like I can lift stuff better to like function better.
Yeah, totally. Do stuff without it being a strain.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's the please skill summarized. This has been a really awesome conversation, and I think it goes to show how much the please skill impacts every single minute of every single day of our lives. And that a lot of people are doing this anyways, but that it's a really helpful reminder to like think through what you're actually doing and how you're doing it and what the mindset that you're doing it in. So I'll post the link to that. I made that handout. May or may not be helpful for anyone, but I made it anyways. It was helpful for myself of like kind of a please skill like checklist of like things to think through as you're going through these. And at the end of the day, I think that like routine is a theme for all of these. So I don't know do either of you have any routine tips to end us off?
I am horrible at routines. Like I have routines like taking a shower and brushing my teeth, like the absolute waking the kids up on time, but it's really hard to get into a constant.
Many alarms. And
yeah.
Something that we used to do when I was running that I started doing a little bit is we do like a post-it reward wall. So like I used to have it on the inside of the cupboard where I kept all my shoes with that door. And it's like you make all of the post-its for each day of like, so we had like numbered runs. And then it's like, you're also more like, well done. And then like some stickers. And then you put another post-it over the top so that when you've done it, you like lift the top post-it and see what you wrote. And it's quite a nice kind of like, all past me is really proud of what I did, stuff.
Nice. That's cool. I like that.
I also learned in therapy to try to only form one new habit in your routine at a time instead of create a whole new system for yourself and incorporate that one all the way before you try to add in more. And that has worked.
That's very smart. Did they have like feedback on like how long there should be between those incorporations of new things, or just like once you've nailed this one?
Yeah, I feel like she was more like, when you feel like that has become part of your routine, that you're not having to really think about it anymore, then you're probably safe to try to start a new one.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that idea.
It's kind of like, the thing I really like about the Please skill is it gives permission to prioritize those things. So like, because my routine, again, is like terrible. So like if I do something like for work, like a full day of conversation or some meetings, then I'll need like a couple of days to recover. So like keeping routine is difficult, but like these are the things that I do stay in routine in purely because I have that there. And it's like, you don't have to put that to the bottom of the pile, which is what I used to do. And now it's like, actually, no, these things come first. And that helps.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, when I was in treatment, I created this like routine list for myself that when I left, I was going to laminate and put on my bathroom wall, and I was going to check it off every day. Haven't done it. Still should. Still think about it often. But for me, I need those reminders. So like, again, my watch tells me like, you're moving a lot less than you have most days and stuff like that, where like I find it actually really helpful and motivating to be like, okay, yeah, I feel like shit today. Maybe it's because I've had 400 steps today and I normally have 2,000 by now. So I need to go for a quick walk. And like just having that regular routine is super helpful. And then it helps. All of these things impact each other. Eating well helps with exercise. Exercise helps with eating well. Exercise helps with sleep. Like it's just, they all kind of start falling into place once you can build that routine, but it's hard to do. Easier said than done, like all DBT skills, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case. Awesome. Okay.
It's like if you focus on one of them, then the other, like the next one you focus on will be easier. It's a really good point.
Definitely. That's how I find it, at least. Awesome. Okay, well, that is the Please skill. I'm so excited that you guys are coming in on this journey with us. It'll be so much fun. And next week, we're going to talk about values and creating a life worth living, which I find super interesting that this is in the book, because I don't think that this is technically a DBT skill. So Diana must have added it on her own. So I'm excited to talk about this one then. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Superfeeler podcast. This episode was recorded on the unceded traditional territory of the Matsqui and Sumas First Nations. If you are interested in learning more about the show, please feel free to follow us on social media. Our Instagram handle is the Superfeeler. That'll be also linked in the show notes. We also have a Patreon page where you can get all sorts of bonus content. We've got bonus episodes, video episodes, lots of resources, journal articles, all sorts of stuff. So you're going to absolutely love being on Patreon with us. There's also free memberships in addition to paid ones, so please feel free to join that. That's patreon.com/superfeeler. If you're looking for information regarding the Superfeelers Club, which is the peer support group that I mentioned in the show, please feel free to Google or look at laurieedmondson.com for information and registration.